Hi, everyone. My name is Nicole Elward, and welcome to Housing Fast Facts. I am the tenancy support lead with the Home Connect program, and today's topic is the top 5 causes of eviction and how you can prevent them. First one is rental arrears. A landlord can terminate a rental agreement for non-payment of rent not less than 10 days after rent is late for 5 days. While this cause is fairly straightforward, it's also probably the most stressful. One misconception is that income support pays rent 16 days late each month. In reality, it pays rent 2 weeks in advance. The portion of rent that is paid on the 16th is actually for the following month. This sometimes results in confusion for landlords when trying to calculate rent received for their units. Community agencies can often aid with this by requesting check numbers from ISL to coincide with the landlord's bank statements. Alternatively, if a tenant is responsible for paying their own rent directly to a landlord and are finding it difficult, the tenant should communicate that they are struggling with their community supports and the landlord. Community supports can offer help from budget skills to providing certain amenities that may enable the client to save money in other areas of their budget to pay their rent. For example, food security programs, Rogers Connect for Success programs, cell phone cards, etc. Open communication with the landlord about financial difficulties opens the door for a landlord to help the tenant by allowing later rent payment, breaking up payments into smaller bi-monthly amounts, or perhaps a one-time deferred rent. Always, always, always ensure your tenant knows how to pay their rent. Number 2, peaceful enjoyment. The tenant shall not unreasonably interfere with the rights and reasonable privacy of a landlord or other tenants in the residential premises. This is important that our tenants understand what this means exactly. Talk to your clients about noise expectations. Turn on loud music and ask them to go into the next room or unit and see if they can hear it. Demonstrate the difference with the bass turned up and the bass turned down. Have your clients slam a door and experience how loud it is from a different room. Turn the volume up on your smartphone to simulate an action scene in a movie. Show your client how different sound travels from different programs and how the time of day may need to be considered. For example, watching an action movie like The Avengers at 4 p.m. is fine, 1 a.m. is problematic. Conversely, have a conversation with them about the noise they may have to accept in their rental. What is a normal level of noise for a neighbor for this unit? What can they expect? Draw attention to how loud the footsteps are when living in a lower level rental. If possible, have them go up and walk around and record how loud it sounds. Drop something on the floor. Often tenants are hyper aware of the noise other people make, but rarely notice how loud they are themselves. Give very specific guidelines around this type of noise. It is often difficult to make a common sense judgment call when you have not had a lot of experience in such environments. Our clients that have spent a significant amount of time in alternate living arrangements, for example, correction institutions, shelters, hospitals, abusive environments, etc., will have a very different understanding of what peaceful enjoyment expectations are than, say, the general public. Another common issue covered under this section is excessive calls or complaints against your neighbors or other tenants to various authority figures. For this one, outline for your clients what constitutes a legitimate phone call to the police, the landlord, municipal enforcement, etc. For example, police should only be called when someone is in immediate danger. All other situations can be reported to the non-emergency police lines. These situations could be discussed with service providers first to determine the validity of the complaint. Some examples of these complaints are neighbors speeding in the area, belief someone's committed a crime, non-threatening trespassing, etc. Number 3 is no utilities. A landlord or tenant shall not, without the written consent of the other party to the rental agreement, disconnect or cause to be disconnected the heat, water, or electrical power services being provided by a residential premises. Many tenants do not realize the impact that their NL power bill can have on their lease. Often, how you choose to pay your own bills is generally your own business. However, falling behind on your NL power bill can result in a disconnect, which can result in an eviction from your landlord. Some ways to help avoid disconnection is to educate tenants on how to save power. The top power spending appliances in a unit are the hot water boiler, your dryer, and your electric heat. Some easy power reduction suggestions are wash clothes in cold water, don't overfill or underfill the dryer, and turn the heat down when you leave. Advise clients to use appliances as they were intended to be used. Using the electric range to heat the unit will cost you more money. Appliances have been created for their intended purpose with the best efficiency in mind. Using appliances in any other manner will cost you more electricity and could lead to other unintended unsafe consequences. More tips on how to save on an electrical bill can be found at Energy Save on the Newfoundland Power website. The second way to avoid disconnection is to arrange a redirect with income support or arrange an equal payment plan. These options allow for the same billing amount each month. This helps tenants not become overwhelmed in winter months when heating costs are generally higher. These months also come with high consumer-based holidays, such as Christmas and Easter, that can often stress a fixed budget. The third and last defense against a Newfoundland Power disconnect is communication. The tenant should communicate they are struggling with the billing amount of Newfoundland Power, the community supports, and with the landlord. If a customer is struggling with paying their monthly bill, Newfoundland Power can offer a payment plan with the client to help them avoid disconnect. Communicating with the community supports can offer help that may enable the client to save money in other areas of their budget to pay more towards the Newfoundland Power bill. For example, food security programs, support a referral program, cell phone cards, etc. And finally, open communication with the landlord about the difficulty of paying a Newfoundland Power bill allows for the landlord to help mitigate some factors within their control. For example, a one-time lower rent, a deferred rent, perhaps a home reno that might save electricity, switching out some older appliances, etc. Number 4, cleanliness and good repair. The tenant shall keep the residential premises clean and shall repair damage caused by a willful or negligent act by the tenant or of a person whom the tenant permits on the residential premises. This section of the RTA is open to some interpretation by both the landlord and the tenant. Both parties may have vastly different definitions of clean and negligent act. Have an open conversation with the landlord around what their expectations are for the property. Be very specific with your questions and clearly outline them for your tenants. Garbage. What if the tenant misses garbage day? How can the tenant have bulk garbage removed? Pet waste. Where is an acceptable area for the pet to use the washroom? How often should it be cleaned? Weekly? Monthly? More often? Lawn care and snow removal. What are the landlord's expectations? Is this reasonable for the tenant physically and financially? What does the landlord consider as normal wear and tear? Smoking. Can the tenant smoke inside the unit? If not, where can they smoke? How are cigarette butts discarded? What would the landlord like to be informed about versus what the client should handle on their own? A minor leak may not interfere with the client's day-to-day activity, but left unfixed may result in extensive damages and be considered a negligent act. But a non-working burner on a stove may be able to be left unfixed for a few days without worry. Talk through some scenarios with the tenant. If the tenant has never owned a home or been physically responsible for home renos, they may not be able to differentiate between what is a minor problem versus what is a larger problem. This stress may result in tenants over-reporting issues, causing a landlord frustration, or tenants to under-report, causing potentially more damage and possible eviction notice. Number 5, damages. The tenant shall keep the residential premises clean and shall repair damage caused by a willful or negligent act of the tenant or of a person whom the tenant permits on the residential premises. This section is often misunderstood. Tenants often think that all damages will result in eviction notice. This is just not the case. Open communication and accountability goes a long way in these situations. Damage happens. It happens in every home from time to time. Tenants can address the damage to the landlord and their community supports agency. A tenant needs to communicate how the damage occurred, how they can help with the repairs, either with the cost or with physical labor, and how they plan to mitigate such damages from occurring again in the future. That concludes today's session of Housing Fast Facts. And if you want to find out more information on End Homelessness St. John's, our program or our services, please visit us at wecanendit.com, or you can find us on Facebook and Twitter under End Homelessness St. John's. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a great day.